Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, as you can see, we're going to be working on a pannier tank. It's in a kind of orange/brown livery colour there, so it's a bit different to the green and the black ones. I don't know if this was some sort of limited run, to be honest, but just looking at it on camera like you are now, the detail work there is, like, all the lining is superb. Cosmetically, this thing's mint, but there's a reason it's here, and I don't know what that is yet, so we'll go to the test track in a second. Here's the box, and I'd say it's in like the newer, I don't know, sleeved box, if you like, so it can't be that old. I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you. All I know is I'm going to fix it and sell it. That's what this one is. Right, so here's it will do radius 1 corners, which is lovely to see. And we'll just move out of the way, bring this guy back in. Yeah, so we're going to try and fix this, and I'll put a link in the description for probably an eBay link, 7-day auction or something. So if this takes your fancy, and it is absolutely lovely and different as well. I'm not trying to sell it, I'll sell it anyway, but I just thought if you guys want a chance to sort of buy something I'm fixing, then now's your chance, sort of thing. But anyway, enough of me blabbing on. What we'll do is we'll take this to the test track and we'll see what it's doing, or not doing. Okay then, so we're at the test track, and what I'm just going to show you with this manky little cocktail stick, in the cab area in here, there's a blanking chip in here. I'll probably show you in a second how to get to that, but there's a blanking chip in there, and I can see it, so I know that I can run this on DC. So that's what we've got wired up here. I've got my DC controller wired up to this piece of track, and we'll just flick one way and apply the power. Nothing. Okay. It kind of runs okay-ish, like so. Yeah, so I think I know what the problem is here. It's not great on the pickups, and this is, I think, pretty common. I think what we need to do is take this over to the workbench and start opening it up. Okay, so we're at the bench. I've got a cocktail stick here, but it takes quite a bit of pressure. I mean, that is popped up there, okay? See what I did there? The other side's gone up as well, and it should be relatively loose to come up now. Again, watching these pipes and wires and things, because they're going to want to stay. They want to keep going back in those holes, but you just can't let them. I'm going to use our trusty cocktail stick again. Now, what's actually happened here is it's coming apart in the wrong way. I'm not going to edit this. I'll show you. I'm pushing down on this to split the cab from it. It's tricky, right? Especially not to chip paint or break anything. And there we go, our cab is off. So avoid that at all costs. Right, so what have we got going on here? Because to me, straight off the bat, you see that screw there? Someone's been in here, and it wasn't me. So I'm being careful here. We go off cocktail stick again. Yeah, so the chassis is actually loose. Now, this wouldn't have been causing it to run badly. When you're pulling anything off of these, you really have to be careful of these little pipes. So this little guy goes into here, so this has to come out. Wasn't really meant to be taken apart in this way, sadly. But we need to clean our loco up, so it has to come apart. So we'll remember where that went. Then on the other side we're going to have another one. And what I'm doing here is I'm levering this pipe away. Like that. Hopefully you saw that. So it pulls out of this end. Okay, so that's going to be free to move. There'll be 2 wires holding this on, I suspect. Right, what you want to do is basically get this bit off of this bit. So it lifts up and it allows the bottom carriage of the pannier to come off. You see that? Just like that. Beautiful. So there's some grease on there, we'll clean that up. That's self-explanatory. The motor's actually in the boiler area and the chassis comes away from it. So it's on 2 wires. That should give us enough play to get what we want. And hopefully this is one side pickup that comes off. There we go, put that screw to one side. Flip it over, there's another pickup. So what we're trying to get to at the minute is the chassis. I'm not interested in the superstructure, I just don't want to damage any of it. Okay, that screws out. Now, but they're the pickups, so just remember which way round they go, or if your loco goes backwards, just put them on the other way around. So that's what's in the body of the loco. You've got your motor in here, your worm drive, and that goes to the chassis here. So we're interested in this bit. Yeah, it doesn't feel too bad. Right, so what we now need to do is get in between these wheels, okay? I'm going to wiggle one side of the wheel and then the other side and just work them. They do come off quite easily, and then before it pops off I'll go to the middle one, work my way across. You'll see exactly what we got in a second. I doubt many people on YouTube have shown people what's in these actually. It's quite a good setup and I love the way that all the wheels are gear driven. But the problem is these are susceptible to, ta-da, there's our square holes, look, I'll just put them to one side. Right, so these are really susceptible to grease from the gears going onto these bushes. The problem with that is grease is an insulator and these bushes are the pickups. So the wheels, being metal, you just transfer their power to these pickups. So it just all needs a really good clean. So we've got these 2 screws here. They can sometimes be really awkward to remove. And if that's the case, don't worry about it. Just dunk the whole thing in a pot of IPA. I'm going to just tear this apart though and do it the proper way. Okay, so that's one screw. Tiny little screws. And our other one. Now you're probably going to need this video for your reference if you're taking yours apart. The reason I'm taking this apart is it's actually better to clean it that way. So when I lift this, it's a split chassis effectively. So when I lift this one up, I'll try and keep all the gears. Nope. Try and keep all the gears on the other side, because I want you to see what is going on in here. I think we kind of successfully did it. Jeez. You can see what's going on in there, right? I mean, this thing is tiny. Testament to Dapol. They've crammed a lot in a very small space. And everything's oily. And I would expect that because it's a gearbox. However, that's not great for our pickups. So I'm going to thoroughly clean all of this. And then when I put it back together, I'm going to be very selective with where I put the grease. There will be none in this area. These gears are very hard wearing gears. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to degrease the lot, okay? I'm and we'll go from there. I think when I come to oil it, I might even use grease so it doesn't work its way around the system as quickly, but we'll see. This should be almost self-lubricating. I won't bore you with the details here, but I'm just going to use IPA and just clean the crap out of it, basically. Right, so oops, all my gears fell out. There are various things, like this one here, this guy. The chassis halves are insulated by plastic pieces. This is one of them, okay? It goes there, as you saw me just pull out a minute ago. So yes, I'm going to remove all of this, clean it individually, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay guys, well, I've cleaned up everything. I was starting to put it back together, and then I thought, well, you probably want to see this. So what have we got then? We've put in our little insulation pieces, okay? It doesn't really matter which way round you do this. I've got a bit of white tack on the end of a stick, and boom, that's where it's living. Okay, nothing too exciting. Just use my tweezers to hold it down as I pull the white tack thing away. So I've done the others like this. Just remember to put them in, because if you don't, you'll have a nightmare. All of these parts in this loco actually play an important piece of the puzzle. Okay, so the next thing I want to bring up, so this is the forward of this is the right hand chassis piece, half. This is the forward part of the train, this is the back. Now, this section here is longer than this section here, and the same applies for this link. So therefore I know that these wheels have to go in this way. And I know, I don't want to turn it over, but when you're putting them in, on the link, can you see that piece there? That has to face upwards, as does the real loco. I'll show you this all together in a second so you can sort of get your mind around what the hell I'm talking about. But right, the first gears we're going to put in are these. Okay, you see the step at the bottom? These are the ones with the squares on them. So these are going into our wheels. We want that step on the lower side, so let's zoom in. Bum, bum, bum. These are going in this way round. The step is underneath. So I'm going to go for that one. I'm not pushing it all the way down because I just realised I've got to put this in. So the next one to go in, we'll do them in a second. Put this one in. So this has got a gear top and bottom. And you want the little gear at the top. This is the first one the motor touches. The second one is this guy. Long step on the bottom. And it's only got the one gear on the top there. So what that's doing is it's taking the motor. The motor drives this one, and then it drives that one, and then that drives this main wheel. So we can turn that a little bit because I want my little peg facing one way. Right then, what's next? Just having a little sneaky peek. My wheel is facing down. That's facing down. So all the wheels are facing down with the link. I hope I'm explaining this right. Again, the ones that go in the wheels, this little step, if you like, is aiming at the wheel. This all has to be done in a specific way to work again. You can't really deviate, and there you go. Again, the step facing down, this goes in the wheel. Make sure they are down good and proper. Next, so with the other gears that remain, there's 3 that are smaller than the other 2. The small ones there on camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teeth. There you go. These other ones are, I don't know, whatever that looks like. They're just slightly bigger than the other ones. But what's important to know is There's 3 of one kind, there's 2 of another kind. The 2 of one kind go there, and the 3 of one kind go there. So our bigger 2 guys here, with our step facing downwards, I'll just turn that around. See, our step is on the bottom there. The step will be going downwards here. And the same for the other one. Okay, step facing down. I mean, you're going to have to take your time with this. There is no way you could... I can't imagine anyone rushing this. Right, with the small ones, again, the step is facing downwards. Yep. The first one started. It's quite important as well. I'll show you what I've just screwed up. You've probably noticed. Too worried about getting these gears in. Right, when you're doing this, so our gears are in there. Right, make sure your middle one is pointing in one direction. And actually, that's turned out alright. All our square pegs on our axles have to face the same direction, because these gears are phasing the individual wheels. Like, it's quite important. So that's our last one. It should get in the old. Now, because of each axle is actually gear driven, you don't need the links. The links don't need to do anything. These gears would do all the work. But I think it's important to phase the wheels as well. Right, so before I lose anything, we want to check all our insulation pieces are in, and they are, those 4. All our gears are in, good. Our little square pegs are pretty much facing the same direction, that's good. So that now comes this tricky bit. You want to make sure this guy, nothing comes loose as you're sort of putting this on, so you're sort of wiggling it as it's going down. Right, that's sort of there. I'm pinching it together, and just grab a screw to hold the thing together. Very fiddly stuff, this. Okay, that's one screw. I don't put them in dead tight, it's just to hold the 2 together. There's really not a lot of meat on these screws, so if you screw one up and break it, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get it back out again. Righto, so what I'm going to do here is just make all our wheels aim down, and then go to the other side. They've just moved. Because they're facing, they can face either up or down, and then on this side, again this end is our longest length, these can face forwards or backwards. As long as the other side is doing quarter different to what these should be doing, or are doing, you're good. This is known as quartering. I don't think it's actually that necessary, because the gears are driving this loco. So I'm going to just push them down, and if it's not running smoothly, then you've got a problem, and you need to get it addressed before you go any further. I think in our case now though, I'm happy with how that is. Really all I'm going to do is put this back on, because then we can test it actually runs. And this little guy lives in here like this. Okay, so that's one pickup in, see it just there, and the other pickup, it's all very fiddly stuff. Okay, so that is in, and also what's actually meant to hold this chassis in is it's meant to hook in the front here, and then, alright, it's meant to push up at the back, and this screw at the back under that one there, which wasn't, it didn't seem like it's actually done up, that was actually that's what's going to hold it all together. Let's go take it to the track, put a little blanking chip back in and see what it does. Okay, so here I am at the test track. The reason I'm testing it now is because if we go any further and it doesn't work, I'm going to have to take it apart again. It's on DC again, and I've not even turned the dial. Well, that's a bit happy, isn't it? Wow. That's what they should be like. Ah, it stopped. To be fair, this is what a run-in would help with. Wow. Yeah, she's pretty happy. It sounds very healthy as well. Sadly, I think what's happened here is, it's been made brand new, oil's been put on it, and then possibly there'll be a guy who's bought it brand new and it just won't work properly because of that oil. Right, let's go back to bench. I'll show you how to put the other bits back together. Okay then, so it works rather nicely, which is lovely. We have got a few things to put back on this. I think what we'll start with is actually the undercarriage. So this has to go on this way. So the brakes are actually in front of the wheels. If you tried turning it around, the spacing of the wheels would be wrong. Right, this one's against the wheel, that one's not. So that's a good way of indicating which way around it's all meant to go. I'm hooking it in one end. And we've got a pipe here that I don't want to damage, so this guy has to just get out of my way because it's living in there. Okay, so you can put it over the back first or over the front first, it doesn't matter. You just got to be so careful with where you hold these things because you just don't want to break any details off. That screw there is knackered, so I'm going to take that out. We'll take this out. So this is your blanking chip. Bing bong bang. That's where you put your decoder. I'm going to screw around with this for a minute. And we'll be back in a minute. Once we get to the cab, I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, so I've pried that screw out. There you go, there's the bushing. And I've got another screw. So this is the king screw. This is what holds the body to the chassis. So you have to get the cab off, really, to get yourself access to the chassis coming off. And I'll just make sure. Yep, cool. Alright. I've got to be arty-farty with those pipes in a minute, but we'll get the cab on. So just get the chip back in. There we go, chip back in. Right, this cab, pain in the ass. You've got to be so careful of the details here. Be very careful of this guy. Ugh, man, they snap off so easy. Ask me how I know. I would love to see someone touch one of these, like in a shop, and just see how they do it. Right, make sure nothing's going to get trapped when you do this. I'm going to be pushing on this piece of the body and the top of the cab. This guy's got to go into that hole there. I haven't pushed the cab down yet, so this is what we're getting up to. This guy though, alright, I'm gonna 3, 2, 1, Right, is on. And that's gone straight in the hole. That's back in its hole. And that's actually back in its hole. And that is a very not broken train. Right, I have a pipe to put back on. Okay, so the pipes are back on now, which is great. I haven't broken any of the cab stuff, which is also great. And hopefully we'll go and check it now. It should run just fine. Okay then, so she's got the cab back on. It runs quite lovely. If anything, I'd say it needs running in because all the moving parts and whatnot. You can see the difference though, can't you, from how it was before. In fact, there's no throttle on there. That's just literally me going forwards and backwards. I'd say it's geared a little bit too high really, but it doesn't matter. They're limited with space inside, so I get the gearing issue. Anyway, I'm genuinely trying to make this stop on the track. I have not cleaned the track even. Fantastic. I could play with that all day long. Right, so yeah, I'm going to put this on eBay. Bid if you want to bid. Just go check it out. But I hope this video's been useful because I know there's a bit of a mystery behind actually getting in these things. Moral of the story is take the cab off. There's a screw at the back that will allow you to split the bottom from the top. I was trying to show you another way, but it was like broken because that screw was being weird. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully it's going to be helpful in some way, shape or form. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.